Hello everyone, Sergey from Ushanka Show again. So a couple of years ago I made a short video about this little book that I own. It was published back in 1987, so this 2 years before Soviet Union got disappeared. And today we're gonna make a real long video to kind of reviewing this book. And what's extremely interesting about it is it was published by Political Department of GSVG, Группа советских войск в Германии, so it's a group of the Soviet troops in Germany. So that's when the Eastern Germany was still part of Warsaw Pact, and we had quite a lot of troops there and quite a lot of tanks. And this is the thing, this is the book, the first time I realized there's something going on, because they never published in our newspapers how many tanks we placed in East Germany. And this is the first time I realized that something is going on. I didn't know that it was like somewhere between 5,000 to 7,000 tanks were on the border with Western Germany, ready to attack the Western Europe in case something bad happened. So that was my eye-opener. So we'll look at it in a second. But once again, it's a 1987 political department of the German group of the Soviet troops. And another interesting detail says для служебного пользования экземпляр номер. So this is only for be like a business use. So it's only for officers, and it's a controlled copy, which is quite interesting. So right here you see it says controlled copy number 185. And once again, NATO countries and their military forces in the Central Europe. Short military political characteristics. So that's they provide information to the Soviet officers about the forces that are on the other side of the border. Another interesting part that it says this book was created using materials from the open Soviet and foreign press. So it's a controlled copy that used open sources. I find kind of hilarious maybe, because this is the way of secrecy in the Soviet Union. You use open sources, but you limit distribution on this book. So it basically goes through Federal Republic of Germany, you got France, generally NATO overview, but the most interesting things, of course, it's in the end. So we got all these chapters. It's a pretty thick book. It's quite a few pages. And it's basically Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, Luxembourg, Canadian troops in Europe, and of course American troops. And then the basic equipment that they have, tanks, and just gonna look at that because that's super interesting. And I was surprised to see this is kind of like a general information about Североатлантический Bloc, about North Atlantic Alliance. And it just tells the history that was created in April 4, 1949 in Washington by 12 capitalist countries: United States, Great Britain, France. General territory 22.8 million square kilometers. Then they say that Turkey and Greece joined NATO in 1952. Then Germany in 1955. Spain in 1982. I wonder if they mentioned that France at one point, right here, in 1966, France left NATO, but in recent times there was a process kind of getting reactivated to get her back into the military part of the organization. And generally there's not a lot of this drama about political, like they're evil forces, they're trying to destroy our country. And then they go basically describing all the different forces, so they have their logos and detailed descriptions. If you were guys serving, I actually worked with a couple of guys. One guy was born in Germany because his father served in the troops. So yeah, I met quite a few people here in America that used to serve in Germany and other European countries. So once again, just kind of list. I don't know if any of this still valid these days, probably. All the diagrams. So it's like a study material, know your enemy, right? And it just goes on and on. Their locations. Because they don't show how the Soviet troops are positioned in Eastern Germany, but there's all details about troops situated in Federative Republic of Germany, right? That time Ferge. and on and on. But what fun, interesting. Then of course it goes by different groups. So yeah, logos. They spend a lot of money. And now we got to the interesting part. This was my favorite. So of course, some of you may remember Persian 1A. That was a big drama in the Soviet Union in the early 80s when America placed their Persian nuclear missiles in Western Europe. Of course, the Soviet government never told us that they were first to place this type of rockets, missiles in Eastern Europe. But of course, they were, oh my goodness, amount of cartoons and all that about evil Americans placing these missiles and taking Western Europeans as the hostages. Another missile of the middle range missile, Pershing 2. So there are 108 of them placed in Germany. And then it's basically, in the beginning, it's all about missiles and missile launchers. Pluton from France. BGM 109 from the United States. This looks like something similar we use in Ukraine right now. Then we got jets, F-111E, F-16A. That's one of my favorite planes. Thunderbolt 2, A-10 Alpha, Tornado, Alpha Jet, Harrier, Mirage, of course. Always thought it would look cool. Then you got Black Hawk. And then is what I started noticing. So, for example, they say helicopter UH-60A serves for the fighting against tanks and transports. I'm like, okay, I mean, sure. Then you got Apache helicopter. Helicopter Apache, first of all, is designed to fight the tanks. I was like, okay, tanks again. And I talk about the Hellfire anti-tank missiles, about how laser guidance system and this and that. The next helicopter from Germany, anti-tank helicopter. It's actually called anti-tank helicopter. So I was like, man, what's going on? It says during normal visibility, in one flight, it can destroy from 2 to 3 tanks. Then it says about their weak spots because they don't fly at night. Limited ability to fly at night or for the poor visibility, and they're planning to get 212 tanks. It says this is Lynx VG-13 from Great Britain. It's multi-purpose, and they're planning to use anti-tank equipment as a toy, hot, or Hellfire. Famous Patriot, anti-aircraft and anti-missile system. Roland. I guess this guy was discontinued because they didn't send any Rolands into Ukraine. Rapira from Great Britain. And Gepard from Germany. Those came to Ukraine already. So it's interesting. 1987, and there's equipment that now being used in Ukraine. Stinger. Boy, that thing wrecked Soviet army in Afghanistan. There was a lot of bad news when that came. M1 Abrams says it's planning to produce 7,467 Abrams tanks. I wonder how many was actually produced. Leopard 2. So both these tanks end up in Ukraine now in 2024. British Challenger, French MAX 30B2. Hey, Bradley, M3. Ukrainian troops really like Bradley. They got a lot of good words about this equipment. It works really good. Martyr from Western Germany. British MCV-80. Never heard of it. French MX-10P. Got some other ones. And 109s, those I think came to Ukraine too. 110, it's a big caliber gun. Some more big guns. More cannons. And that's all in color. It's pretty impressive for the Soviet publishing. And then once again, it's Jaguar 1, Germany, France. And it's anti-tank. Pretty much created to fight tanks. And it can use, has anti-tank cannon Jagdpanzer, got anti-tank missiles TOW. So I was like, man, NATO is really scared of tanks. I don't know why. Anti-tank system Milan 2, once again, to shoot tanks. Handheld anti-tank rocket launcher Lancer, Germany. Handheld anti-tank RAC from France. Handheld anti-tank Low 80 from Great Britain. Handheld anti-tank Armbrust, Germany. Handheld anti-tank M72A3 from United States. So you see page after page, and I was like, my goodness, these guys are really afraid of tanks. And that's when I kind of got suspicious there's something going on in Eastern Germany, why NATO is shitting their pants when it comes to having a lot of anti-tank equipment. So yeah, this was kind of my revelation book. How much anti-tank. So it didn't look like a NATO was aggressive pact. It actually looked like there was a bunch of scared countries that were afraid of the Soviet tanks, and they spent a lot of money creating anti-tank, all kind of anti-tank equipment, helicopters and self-propelled and handheld. So yeah, quite interesting book. It's once again political department of a group of the Soviet troops in Germany, Eastern Germany, from 1987. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you soon. До побачення. Goodbye.